These rating videos deal with the rating of the disability of an injured employee in the California workers' compensation system. The purpose of the rating process is to determine the amount of compensation that should be paid to an employee. The amount to be paid is based upon his or her permanent disability. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of rating, we need to establish a few preliminaries. These videos are not intended for the doctors who evaluate the impairment of an injured employee. When reference is made to rating in this series of videos, it is meant to refer to the process of determining the permanent disability of an injured employee by non-medical raters from an already existing medical report. There will be another series of videos intended for the physicians. The rating process is based upon the publication entitled The Schedule for Rating Permanent Disabilities. This is the 2005 edition. This publication sets forth how a rating is to be done in the state of California. You will need to have a copy of this to do a rating, but for these videos we will show you the necessary pages as we talk about them. The publication is published by the Department of Industrial Relations, Division of Workers' Compensation, and a copy of this document can be obtained from the DWC website. Here is the link to the DWC website. The permanent disability of an individual cannot be assessed until the effects of the injury have been stabilized. The extent of permanent disability that results from an industrial injury can be assessed once an employee's condition has become permanent and stationary. Permanent and stationary is defined as the point in time when the employee has reached maximal medical improvement. That'll be referred to as MMI, meaning that his or her condition is well stabilized and unlikely to change substantially in the next year with or without medical treatment. Maximal medical improvement, or MMI, is the same as permanent and stationary, which is PNS. The MMI is the medical term and PNS is the legal term. The treating physician is the one who determines when MMI is reached. To illustrate MMI, consider that an employee gets a portion of his or her finger amputated while on the job. The employee is transported to the emergency room and treatment is rendered. A portion of the finger cannot be saved, so the finger is sutured and bandaged. After some period of time, the treating physician determines that bandaging is unnecessary, but the stump is still very sensitive and painful. With additional time, the stump becomes much less sensitive and painful. At that point, the treating physician may declare the employee's condition to be MMI and that no further treatment is necessary. The condition may improve over a period of time, but the improvement is not expected to be substantial. This is MMI. The employee has a permanent effect as a result of the injury. A portion of the finger is missing. The employee has a permanent disability. Because of the permanent disability, the employee is entitled to permanent disability compensation. The amount of that compensation is determined through the rating process. This is what we're attempting to do in this series of videos. The rating process does not even start until the medical condition has reached MMI. The evaluating physician cannot make an accurate determination as to permanent impairment until that point has been reached. If a medical report says that the condition is not MMI, then that report cannot be rated. The report is unratable. Permanent disability is expressed as a percentage. A permanent disability rating can range from 0 to 100%. 0% signifies no reduction of earning capacity, while 100% represents permanent total disability. A rating between 0 and 100% represents permanent partial disability. Permanent total disability represents a level of disability at which an employee has sustained a total loss of earning capacity. Compensation is paid for a fixed number of weeks depending on the rating percentage. This is paid whether or not the employee returns to work. At the end of the number of weeks of PD, payment stops. After MMI and after PD compensation has been paid, the employer may still be obligated to provide medical treatment, but the employee would receive no more PD payments. For example, if the loss of the index finger at the PIP joint resulted in a 9% permanent disability, then the employee would be paid 27 weeks of compensation. If the date of injury were to have occurred after January 1st, 2006, then the maximum weekly payment rate is then $230 per week if the percentage of rating is between 1 and 69%. No matter how much an employee earned per week before the injury, the maximum PD payment rate does not exceed this amount. For the finger amputation example, an average employee would receive approximately 9% permanent disability. If that employee earned above the maximum weekly earnings, he or she would receive $230 per week for 27 weeks, for a total of 27 times 230 equals $6,210. That's the amount that the employee would receive in permanent disability compensation.